Hello there, my name is Joe Keane, Celtic Joe from Celtic Revival in Medford, Massachusetts. Greetings all. It's coming up to be St. Bridget's Day at the old Celtic festival of Imbolc. Wanted to share some information about Bridget and what it is. But first of all, I would have to say, may Bridget bless your homes. Wherein you dwell, bless every fireside, every wall and door, bless every heart that beats beneath its roof. Bless every hand that tolls to bring it joy, bless every foot that walks its portal through. Oh, may Bridget bless your house that shelters you. And that is coming up in a few nights' time, St. Bridget's Nights, 1st of February. And Bridget is a blessed one. And she has been coming to us for a long time. A long time. We associate Bridget, or Bridget's Cross, with St. Bridget. And St. Bridget was one of the three great saints of Ireland. They were St. Patrick, Columkill, and St. Bridget. And St. Bridget is known as Mother of the Gaels, or Mother of the Irish. And she is that feminine aspect that came from those older traditions. But we are familiar, a lot of people are familiar with the Bridget's Cross, and the Bridget's Cross was woven on the eve of the 1st of February by Bon Auntie, the woman of the house. And she would weave the cross, and on Bridget's Day she would bring to the front of the house, and she would call in the four corners, and she would pass the cross around her body 3 times. And then she would circle the house clockwise, saying an old Gaelic prayer that I don't have it. But it would be in the same lines as Bridget, bless the walls, bless the floor, bless anyone who comes through our door. Bless the rafter, roof and floor. So Bridget was welcomed on the 1st of February. And Bridget's Cross, when the Banantee would do this tradition, this old tradition, and bring it back to the front door, then the door would open and the family would say, Bridget, welcome into our home. Welcome into our home. And Bridget had a beautiful representation. Now, I'll talk about the saint first of all. As we know, it's St. Bridget's Day. She was born in County Louth, and she had her church in Kildara, the Church of the Oak. And how she came about that was she was walking along the road with some of her followers, and the chieftain was coming with the horses, drawing this cart to build a big fort, and she stopped and asked him, she says, oh, would you give me land to build my church? And he laughed at her, and he says, I'll give you a land that your cloak can cover. And she took off her cloak, which was a very magical cloak, maybe gifted her, it was gifted to her by a druid one time. And when she asked the 4 sisters to catch a corner, and then she says, walk till you. And the 4 sisters walked, and this cloak started spreading out and unfurling and unfurling and unfurling. The chieftain couldn't believe it. And she said, I can have them walk and take all your kingdom. And he says, hold it, no, I'll give you that much land. And that is where there's a well, a holy well, a very special well, called St. Bridget's Well in Kildare, County Kildare. Bridget was associated with white. And as the traditions go back, we had a beautiful tradition in County Kerry, and that was called the Biddies. And the Biddies would come out on the 1st of February on St. Bridget's Night. And in rural Ireland, rural Kerry, they would come out, they would be dressed up in straw hats and straw dresses, and faces painted and coloured with ash and mud. And they would come out with the Brigid, young Brigid. And young Brigid was a small straw doll, a head, and she was wearing the whitest lily white, like the lily whites of County Kildare these days. And she was wearing the whitest dress, the purest of all. And when they came to the house, they would knock 3 times, and when the family would open the door, they would start playing the music. The musicians would go in and they would dance in with little Brigid, young Brigid, and they'd put her on the right hand side of the fireplace. And they'd set her down on the right hand side of the fireplace, and they'd go into the centre and they'd dance a set. Yeah. Into the centre, out and around, and into the centre and out and around, and into the centre and out and around, just like the wheel of time. Yeah. When they came in, the last thing they brought in, they would open up after they dancing a set in the house, and they would open it up, and somebody came in with a straw ring, and it had 3 crosses on it, and they would walk in. And walk into the centre of the house. And if there was a baby in a cot, which there was usually a baby in the cot in the houses back in those days, they would get the youngest child and they would pass the youngest child through the straw ring. And they would pass the child through, and then the next youngest would step through the ring, and then they put it on the floor, and the next step through the ring, and the next step through the ring, and the fun was had with whoever was in the house there of who's youngest to oldest. Youngest to oldest, the coming of the spring. Oh yes. So when you imagine that straw ring and you stepping into it in this time of purification, in this time of transformation, for whatever you set your seed now, it's about to bloom. So, when they dance into the centre, and when they pull this ring up over you, I want you to have a sense of what it was that pulled this great old cloak about you. Bridget's cloak, the magic cloak. Yes, so St. Bridget, the traditions, aren't they gone? How we dance for the coming of spring, how we dance for the bright, fiery one. Yes, she was a bright, fiery one. So Bridget, of course, there's many of them in Ireland, many different Bridget's wells, and many took the name Bridget, coming from an older aspect called Brio Agad, the fiery arrow of power. And she had 3 aspects, like all great things in Irish lore. 3 aspects of being a youth, an adult, and an elder, having 3 names like Bride, Bridget and Breed. And when you welcome Bridget into the house, she was the keeper of the heart and home. And that's why you bring in the Bridget's cross and hang it over the kitchen door. Well, anyway, she was the heart and home, and that would have come from that older tradition of the great 3 queens to rule the 3 worlds and had 3 aspects, a very young, a middle and an old. Yes, the youth, the future come. Are we coming or going? Yes, the 3 aspects of that old goddess were keeper of the 3 great sacred flames. One of them kept the flame of inspiration, the maiden, the youth, dressed in white. Inspiration, poetry and the arts. She kept that fire burning for passion, for words to be found within. Words that might change the world. And then she kept the fire of the heart of the house, which is motherhood and life-giving and the motherhood aspect of the goddess. Keeper of the heart and home, Bananti, woman of the house. And then she kept the fire of the forge, transformation, where metal is transformed to become something else. Bride, Bridget and Breed, the old 3 queens. Well, on Bridget's night we welcome Bridget into the house. And when we see it and where it comes from the old Wheel of Time, the cross-quarter festivals, for many of you that's familiar with it. This is a piece done by Paul Borda. There's 8 spokes to the wheel, equinoxes, solstices, and the 4 cross-quarters as the cycle moves around, coming into the spring. Bridget associated with milk and lambing, all dressed in white. Bridget, this year I would like you to all welcome Bridget into your home, and may you all be cloaked by Bridget's blessings. May we all find that comfort. May we all see the change that we need to see in ourselves. May we all take time, one moment at a time. Oh, Bridget, welcome into our house. Welcome, Bridget. Yes, welcome, Bridget, as they dance away the night.